What's up, everybody? Playtime is over. It's Tom Curran. It's Phil Perry. It's Training Camp Central, brought to you by the Oakers Company. Camp hasn't started yet, Phil, but I got that feeling, and it's in the air.
Oh, it's in the air. Playtime is over. Vacation is over. But we're ready to work. Couple grinders right here.
And nobody does a better job year in, year out of bringing you everything Patriots than we do here at NBC Sports Boston. We got pods, we got TV, we got your digital platforms, and we got so much that we're going to serve up this year because it's a fascinating 2022 in my feelings. And when we look at this year, the process post-Brady continues. And I wrote this today, and you can find it on our website, NBCSportsBoston.com, and it was basically just looking at what the vibe is entering camp. And I said, the operating philosophy for the post-McDaniels offensive coaching staff seems to be, what the hell? Let's try it and see how it goes. All from a team that after 13 games last year was the top seed in the AFC before cratering down the stretch. A slogan like 2022, watch us recalibrate, it's not going to put fannies in the seats. So to me, when we look at this team and consider where they are going into 2022, I think there's a feeling that it's a little bit of a bridge year. The reason being they're tight to the cap. They didn't make a lot of moves in free agency. They didn't make a lot of moves or waves in the draft. And they're kind of rolling back with what they rolled with last year or even subtracting people.
This is a great start to Training Camp Central and to our Patriots coverage for the 2022 season because you and I disagree, my friend. This can't be a bridge year. They just had one of those 2 years ago.
Right.
And now they have a rookie quarterback or quarterback on a rookie contract in his second year, Tom, where you only have that advantage for 3 seasons, essentially, if the quarterback's good. So they need to start capitalizing on this advantage that they have with Mac Jones in the here and now. They don't have time for a bridge year. Again, they just did one of those in 2020, and they are spending to the cap. They have a lot of really good players, or really highly paid players on the roster. They need to compete. And if they fall back from the 10-win season they had last season, that to me is a failure.
And that's why I say it's a recalibration, though, because there are so many players from last year's team. You can throw out Aguilar, you can throw out Jonnu Smith, and you can look at the coaching staff and see the turnover on the coaching staff with Josh McDaniels and what they've trotted out there on the offensive coaching staff and say, well, they don't know what they're going to get. They don't know what they're going to get at those positions. They don't know what they're going to get in a revamped linebacker room. So it's a recalibration, which by definition to me means you're going to spend a portion of the season figuring out what the hell you have. In this bridge year, though, you're building toward 2023. Because by next year, you got $60 million in cap room, and instead of 6 guys over $10 million on the cap, you only have 3. So that's why I look at this season as expectations have to be tempered. We go into camp, and we're not going into camp looking at a championship-driven team. We're going into camp looking at one that has got their eyes on the prize for way down the line.
So that makes sense to me. And I don't want people at home to sit there and say, well, Perry thinks they're going to the Super Bowl. Because no, I don't feel that way. They're not that good a team. They're not ready to compete in that way just yet. But when I hear bridge year, Tom, that's the opposite end of the spectrum to me. I start thinking 5 wins, 6 wins. Borderline non-competitive, and they can't be there either. They have to be close to what they were last year, in contention for a significant chunk of the season and a playoff team to me. I don't know if they're going to win a playoff game, but they need to be right in that mix.
I want to get into this a lot this week, too, about what they have to accomplish in the end and by the end of 2022, because Robert Kraft already, during the owners' meetings, kind of pushed his chips into the middle of the table a little bit, talking about it's been 3 years since we've had a playoff win. Now, there might be some extenuating circumstances surrounding that, but the bottom line remains the bottom line. Can Robert Kraft entertain the notion, or would he be shifting restlessly in his chair, which I'm sure you're watching right now, Robert? Is he shifting restlessly in his chair as we discuss the notion of a bridge year? Can he stomach that?
No, not in my opinion. And I asked him at the owners' meetings, do you expect to contend right away? And he said, yes, we should be in contention. And so when I hear contention, I hear more than just competitive, or more than just competitive for parts of the season. Better than a 500 team. They should be on an upward trajectory. We hear this from Bill Belichick all the time, Tom. You're getting better, you're getting worse. And that usually applies to individual players on the roster, I think, right? I think it should apply to the football team this year. And I know they've got a lot going on in the coaching staff. We'll talk about that. I know they have a lot of questions on the roster. They should be an improved team based on where they were last year, because 2020 was their nadir, and they should be going up from there.
I agree, but I would say this. When you look at a team, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. Sometimes you have to get worse to get better. 2020 was about that a little bit, but 2022 might be about that as well, because they finally thought or came to the conclusion that their linebacker core was not good enough or fast enough to contend. So they fumigated a room that was loaded with a possible Patriots Hall of Famer, likely, in Dante Hightower. They moved on from Jamie Collins, who'd been a productive player, and I thought Kyle Van Noy was their most productive linebacker. They moved on from all three. They're going to take a step back at that spot in order to take a step forward. That's why it feels bridgy. That's why it feels bridgy.
But the quarterback should be better. The receiver room should be better. To me, those are the two most important positions on your football team. Corner, different story. You're right. Linebacker, different story. But I think there was a clear plan on the defensive side, which was we need to get faster. And at that linebacker position that you mentioned, they got smaller, they got more athletic. At cornerback, we have no idea how that thing is going to look, but they certainly got younger. And so maybe they got a little bit more athletic there as well. There's going to be so much change on the defensive side, Tom. I think it's going to be hard for us to know. It's going to be hard for them to know what they're going to look like on that side of the ball for weeks now. But I think overall, in the aggregate, because of the quarterback situation, because of the receiver situation, and because, again, they should be building towards something here. To me, they have to be better.
And that, to me, it cuts to the one individual for whom the improvement is the most pivotal and critical. It's the most important guy in sports. It's the quarterback. And the Patriots, Celtics, they're on the mind today.
Oh, yeah.
The Patriots are in the position that every single team wants to be in, with an accomplished quarterback on his rookie contract with controlled amounts of money that they're not going to experience 3 or 4 years down the road when they're having to cough up $40 million. Are they surrounding him with the brain power to make him take the leap that you presume a second-year quarterback is going to take?
That we don't know. And
can we find it out over the next 4 weeks?
I don't think so.
That sucks.
I really don't think so.
We're going to be chronicling everything.
We're going to be watching every single movement from these guys, not just from Mac Jones, but from Matt Patricia, from Joe Judge, from Bill Belichick, who has the headset on, who's talking right before they go into the huddle or while they're in the huddle.
Body language.
Body language is going to be key. If you're a body language fan, you're going to want to follow us here at NBC Sports Boston. But that is going to be massive, and I don't think we will know, Tom, until they get into truly competitive situations, under pressure situations for whoever the play caller is. We won't know how successful whoever's in that job will be.